What's going on, everybody? This is an episode from the No Gimmicks Needed Wrestling podcast. Do you like podcasts and you want to see the full podcast? Make sure you check out the No Gimmicks Needed Wrestling podcast on all your podcast platforms, such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, among many others. But you're listening to the episode right here on YouTube, so make sure you hit that like button and below, and make sure you hit the subscribe button to NC Studios and NC Level Up for all your gaming needs. This is the Nerd Coalition. Enjoy the show. So we're gonna start off with the Sensational Sheri.
Bruh.
Yeah.
Sensational Sheri lived a life. You hear me?
You know what? This season is, all seasons mostly got that dark side theme to them. But now, I'm just,
hence the name.
It's the name. But I'm just
some of them have not been as hard hitting as others.
Yeah.
But this season, besides Earthquake, his was just like, oh, my family missed me. But the rest of it just went downhill from there. Yeah. Oh, my God.
Yeah, we was in for it. So I say this now. You being a novice fan, Lady Sketch, do you have a memory at all of Sensational Sheri? Do you remember Sensational Sheri at all?
Very vaguely. Like, I knew who she was from being mentioned by other people.
Yeah.
Like, whenever people talk about women's wrestling, especially, like, the pioneers of, like, when they were getting big, you always hear Fabulous Moolah. I usually hear people talk about Sensational Sheri, and Miss Elizabeth, because she was with Macho Man. Yeah. So it's like I hear of these people, like Alundra Blaze, but I wasn't watching wrestling when she was active.
Look, well, you know, it's kind of cool because, see, to be honest with you, when I started knowing about Sensational Sheri, I never knew her as a wrestler. I've always known her as the manager version of Sensational Sheri. When I started in the 90s, and especially when I went back, I remember when she was Shawn Michaels' manager. And, of course, then she had the whole, Shawn Michaels was after the Macho King. Whole storyline that she had. That's when Elizabeth came back at WrestleMania 7 after the Warrior beat Macho Man. She attacked the Macho Man and stuff. So I always knew her as a manager. And, of course, me being a WCW guy, I remember her managing Harlem Heat because I was a fan.
That was a very interesting pairing.
It was, but I was a fan of Harlem Heat, Booker T. But I'm saying, hey,
you gotta chill, bro.
I do not have to chill. You know, it's funny because
like,
no, bullshit. Because here's the side note. I say what I say. On the show, live air, I'm just not a Stevie Ray guy. I'm a booker.
I don't know Stevie Ray to not be a Stevie Ray guy.
Personally, I don't know that man to not like him.
No, I'm not. I'm talking about wrestling wise because I wasn't around.
You be giving Stevie Ray 100 when these mics is off. That's the problem.
What are you talking about? I don't see now. You're trying to throw me under the bus. I didn't watch wrestling when they was wrestling together. The only thing I know about Harlem Heat was "We Coming For You." That's all I knew. Yeah. That was it.
I still. Lady Sketch was mad at me because when I went to go get my Booker T book signed by Booker T, Steve Ray acted like he wanted to sign the book. I'm like, all right, get your book.
But I'm the one who's out here talking trash. I didn't say nothing.
I talk trash about Steve Ray all the time. Me and Chubbs back in there talking about, talking about Steve Ray getting them yaks.
Now, how I get in it? I just want to know how I got in it.
No, copy, sometimes, sometimes
you don't want to be out on the island by yourself.
Let me tell you something. This is a very lonely island over here, but it's all cool. I'm holding the Booker T sign like, leave Steve Ray over there.
Please.
But anyway, yes, I was familiar with that. So it didn't come until when she was in the Hall of Fame in 2006 that she was even a wrestler. That's how ignorant I was to it. And a pretty damn good one at that. And especially back in an era where women's wrestling was
wasn't wrestling.
Was then hold on there. That woman back then was
they was wrestling, but they weren't being pushed. They weren't being given the
opportunities.
Yes, the platform they should have been.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm about to say, because it seemed like, Vince had, not Vince, even the wrestling had the era, and then they said, look, fuck that. Look, hey, where were your titties? You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
and that's what it was.
Come on now, Pharaoh Mom.
And that's what it was going into the mid-90s,
into the 90s,
into the 2010s.
When a lot of people actually started watching wrestling.
Yeah.
That's what it was. It was just like puppies and bra and panties matches and baby oil pools.
If you're WCW, Nitro Girls.
Like, bro,
I wasn't mad at the Nitro Girls.
No. I'm just saying, just in general.
Yeah.
How it devolved.
Yeah. Look. That's a good word for it.
Into whatever it was when the Attitude Era, was in full swing.
Yes. So we had a couple talking heads on here. Jim Cornette is on here as well. They talked to a lady named Kathy Fitzpatrick, who ended up being Sherri's best friend.
Her bestie.
Her bestie as well. Of course, we got my band man Jake Roberts.
Jake the Snake was in there.
Yeah.
And his sister Rockin' Robin.
Yes.
And
who was Sherri? Leroy
Gonzalez.
Boy.
Her ex-husband. Man was mad at wrestling.
Exactly. If you close your eyes and I just hear the name Leroy Gonzalez, that ain't the guy I'm looking at.
Who is this Afro-Mexican man? Yeah. But no, I don't know what the deal was, but he had a Louisiana accent, which I love Louisiana accents. And he loved him some Sherri, obviously, but wrestling took Sherri away.
Yeah, he wasn't the only one. Kathy said that when her best friend when she was in the ring, hard ass, but and even a diva. But then when she's out the ring, she's a sweetheart. And her mom would take Sherri's mom. Her dad wasn't there, so her mom would take her to wrestling shows in Mississippi.
That's wild.
I'm about to say shit.
That's a wild mother-daughter activity.
I mean, shit, ain't nothing much else going on in
back
Mississippi.
Then, when she was coming up.
Back then, dear, I still want to go outside of Mississippi on a cloudy day.
Oh no, okay. So we wouldn't go to Mississippi, but I'm just saying. In general, you in that time period to be like, what we gonna do for our mother-daughter day? Yeah. Wrestling match. What?
I'm about to say, you can't pay me to go see something in Mississippi. Ain't nothing Mississippi I gotta see.
No.
But they would go to the restaurant that she and they would and she fell in love with that.
Yes, she says that's what she wanted to do.
Yeah. Jake Roberts said he met Sherri in 1974 when she was 17 and she was in the front row of Mid-South Wrestling, and he was a referee. Mm-hmm. And then, guys, seeing Jake at that picture of him at 18, I was like,
yo, who's this man?
Yeah, aged for what I would just say. He said,
hard life.
He said Sherri was beautiful and kick your ass kind of girl. And then he said, so they started messing with each other. Something I didn't know.
I didn't know that either. You know what I'm saying? You learned me something today, Dark Side of the Ring.
As Ricky said, smarten you up. And he said, so Jericho, who's still the narrator for these episodes, he was like, did you love her? And then Jake says, what he said?
I love something.
I love something about it.
I was love something. Say, sir.
Bruh, we knew what you loved.
You gotta chill.
We knew what you did. So, what the court ran down my leg or something.
Oh Lord.
Damn. I hope that's what it
was. But yeah, he just said they was friends. Until she died, they were friends. But back then, he loved something.
Yeah.
Said, sir, really?
Great. Then we go. Then she meets her husband.
Well, actually, she went to Jake's dad. And asked to be trained, and she was only 18 at the time, but still too old for him. Rolls my eyes.
What, she was 16. He said you can come back when you're 21.
You gotta come back when you're 21. Yeah. Probably again still too old for him.
Exactly. Which
trash ass human being.
And that's almost verbatim what Jake Roberts said.
Yes, they knew though. They were very well aware that they daddy was trash.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then then. At that point, I think she was an exotic dancer.
Well, because she went down to New Orleans.
Yeah.
New Orleans.
And hence why her husband had a Louisiana accent. And she met her husband.
Yeah, she said he was in a restaurant and he was walking up to her. She was complaining about some roach in the couch in the cushions of the seat. And he said, boy, I want to be that roach.
What?
I just want to be scurrying all around.
I just want to be that roach is a wild thing to say to somebody as an opening line.
Woo. Well,
crazy.
Girl, can be that roach? And then,
he found out she was a dancer because she said she worked across the street. He didn't know what it was, I guess.
Exactly. invited him to the club where she worked at, dancing. He said, swept my off my feet. He only meant just to wet his feet.
First of all, I mean, it was rapid succession. Said she swept me off my feet. I bought a trailer and she moved in with me. What's the time span on this? from the roach booth to the trailer.
That man said 90 days. He said, give me 90 days.
He made it seem like it was rapid succession.
He said, give me 90 days. I'm going to take care of this.
But he said they got a trailer, moved in together, and he asked her to marry him. And then she was like, all right, cool, whatever.
Yeah,
but then she said...
What to him?
Then she said she wanted to be a wrestler. She wanted to pursue wrestling.
I want to pursue wrestling. He didn't know what the fuck that was.
He said, I laughed at her.
He laughed at her. And because, you know what I'm saying, all the time, at that time, he said, drugs, she did them. All
he ran down an entire list.
Yes, at this before the wrestlers happened. She was up there doing them.
He was like Molly's Quaaludes. It was like a song. He was just going in. I'm like, why he got 16 bars of drugs that Sherri was doing? This is crazy. But yes, he went down an entire list of shit that she was doing before she even stepped foot in a ring.
And also, Sherri wanted a family.
Which is wild.
Yeah.
Like, ma'am, how you gonna be out here popping every drug imaginable? Like, you know what I want to do? Be somebody's mama. What?
So, Jared said July 1978, you want a child, you got one.
Yep, she had a baby.
I was the roach. I did what I needed to do.
You have to chill.
And then they had a baby, but then about 3 months later, she went out on the road.
Yeah, she left
to pursue her career.
She left. Baby was 3 months old and never turned back. Really. And, he tried. It sounded like he tried to get her back. Like he was trying to find out where she was. Yeah. Said he hired a PI to go out and find her, and then somebody walked up on him and was like, you better leave Sherri alone. And he was like, well, that was that.
Yeah, that man was just about the Men in Black.
And they told him to leave her ass alone, and he ain't bother her after that. Well, and so he had to raise their son with his next wife.
Yeah, they brought her son there, who is in very bad shape.
Yes.
We don't know the confirmed sickness, but her friend Katie said, I think he has cancer.
She thinks he has cancer, but he won't say what he has.
And she said half his a part of his tongue was removed for cancer. That's probably why he talks like that. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, from where he looked at when they showed a clip of him at the Hall of Fame ceremony to now.
Yeah.
It's
unfortunate. He looks like he's very unwell.
Yes, very unwell, but he was still doing the best he can and speak about his mama. She goes to Memphis, does work as a dancer, and then she meets Butch Moore, where she tells her she want to learn to wrestle. And then he just got up and slapped the shit out of her.
Now, again, I'm with Jim Cornette on this, because what the fuck?
God.
What is you slapping me across the face proving? What does that mean?
See how tough you are.
No, bro. If that's the case, go push me down in a ring. Are you going to be able to take these bumps? Don't slap me across the face, because if I punch you back, then what? If she had knocked that man's teeth down his throat.
We got a fighting gal. And then she looked at him and said, that's all you got? So, I guess, that's, what the outlaw wrestlers do. That's whatever the fuck, as Jim Cornette was saying.
So he said that. So she went to him first, right? But then didn't she end up going back to Grizzly and was like, "I'm 21. I want to be trained."
Yes. Okay. I got your point here. Sherri said that she was going to succeed in this and put a year and went back to Grizzly. She threw her license at him and said she was 21 and she's ready, and she had a son and was divorced. Grizzly asked her why she wanted to do it. She said it was the career that she wanted. So then that's what Jericho asked, was she any good? And he said, Jericho, yeah, she's good. Just ask my sister. And that's
when Rockin' Robin came in.
And that's when Rockin' Robin came in to talk about how good she was in the ring. But then to kind of, and then Grizzly sent her over with Moolah. Mm-hmm. We heard the story about Fabulous Moolah. Right?
Yes, if you've seen Other Dark Side of the Ring, heard anybody talk about any wrestling stories with women, you've heard of Fabulous Moolah.
And Moolah had everybody, all the girls on the schedule and stuff like that.
Had them under her thumb. Yeah. Let's be frank, because that lady was
Sherri wasn't
a
doing
doozy.
That shit. Sherri wasn't doing that shit.
She was a fucking doozy.
She wasn't. But then they talked about how Moolah was old, and then Sherri took the championship off her. She was
because why would anybody have the championship for 30 years? No, like the rant.
But you asking that when who are you gonna face? It's women's.
It's fine. Somebody 30 years.
Women was dark matches back then,
bruh.
Dark
that's
matches.
Crazy.
Okay, so it's like well, if you ain't got no challenges, you gonna hold that damn belt.
That's crazy.
They probably right in the show like, oh shit, we got that women's championship, right? All right, dark match.
Dark match.
Put it up on there.
Like, come on, man.
She when she was a champion back in the 80s, then they brought in Medusa. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because when you talk about women's wrestling, you gotta bring in London.
You gotta bring in a London Blaze.
You gotta bring in a London Blaze of the things that she was doing. And women's wrestling, like I said, was not really just nobody really cared about it.
It had no meat on the bones.
And no meat on the bones. And I remember when Vince had the division. When early WWF times in the early 90s, and I remember the London Blazers, and I do remember the Born Nacanos, and that match that rivalry just went on forever because there was nobody else in the fucking division.
And then they decided they wanted to get rid of Born Nacano.
Other than Bertha Faye. So, and then Vince said, you know what? You ain't making me no money. We're tired of this shit. It's done. And we'll just look at Sunny and Sable and all that other stuff like that.
Much.
So when that happened, he was like, but I still got Sherri, who's very talented on the roster. Mm-hmm. So, but now we could turn her into the manager role, and she could work with some of the top stars, from DiBiase to Macho Man to Shawn Michaels to
Apparently, it was much more lucrative for her to be a manager than to be a wrestler.
Yeah, and they said and one thing about her is better than a lot of other managers, like people like Queen Elizabeth for women's managers, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But Sherri could work because she's a wrestler, so she could take bumps.
She was taking bumps, big bumps.
Yes, which is also
from men.
Yes, which is also kind of like saying with Bobby Heenan, because Bobby Heenan used to take bumps because he used to wrestle back in the day.
See, but that's why but that just contributed to all the issues she was having outside the ring.
Yes,
you finally get a time when you probably could just have a break. You just a manager. No, she want to take bumps.
Yeah, well, she would take bumps, and she was on, and
she was self-medicated.
I would say when them bumps hurt, because it's the same thing. Like when I don't talk to my dad about this, but when he mentions it, like when it comes to the whole thing of wrestling's fake type thing, it's like, man, look, let me tell you something. The outcome. Yes.
I think the better word would be predetermined. I'm sorry. Yes. I didn't mean to.
No, I'm saying that's where I use predetermined, to my father-in-law, same thing, It's predetermined, but, they ain't falling on no mat out there. Like really, it's like that wood wrapped in canvas.
Exactly. Like, this is not, they're not.
Them hits hurt unless you Hogan,
It's one thing to be like, oh, it's fake because, there's storylines and they be mixing up soap opera shit sometimes with wrestling and all of that. But the actual act of training and having to put your body through all of that shit, I would dare anyone who is, oh, it's fake. Well, would you like to bounce your body off the ropes? Or take a suplex? Or anything in the sort? Like, I never understood that.
Yeah.
That's wild to me. None of that looks fake to me. It's one thing to be like, we know who's going to win this match. It's another thing to be like, oh, my man's bleeding. Do you think it's fake blood? Like, I'm confused.
No, you get a little juice. Like I said, unless you Hogan, you get Tombstone 2 feet off the ground.
Hey, yo, come on, man. Like, we could have had a Hogan-free episode.
Call the wife and kids, brother. They ain't looking good. So, with her self-medicated, there were some times that
it's so fucking exhausting. I'm sorry.
Yeah. She was on somas and all kinds of stuff like that. And she was in the ring with Rocket Robin, and she kicked her so hard in the throat.
Kicked her full force in the throat. Yeah. That's crazy.
She thought she was going to die in the ring. Right there.
I'm not going to lie to you. This is going to sound wild. I'd have caught my breath and uppercutted that bitch in the coochie. I'm sorry. I said knock the wind out of me and I would just finish the match. No.
Well, it took a minute until she get that last.
Turn her ovaries, bitch.
Yes. To her credit, she said after the match she came in the back and hugged her because she knew.
She knew she fucked up.
Yeah. But, that's what them drugs
Receipts.
do. Ooh. You're right. After she, WWE started doing the drug testing because of the steroid thing. Because,
Bruh. And then, I'm like, not everybody getting fired because y'all want to be out here juiced the fuck up.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So.
That was...
She was called in, and she was fired.
She failed. The wild part is she failed a bunch of weed tests.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? It's folks back there popping full medicine cabinets worth of shit, and you got fired for some weed? That's crazy.
Even on lunch breaks, they said that she like taking her coke and her marijuana.
No, she was doing other stuff.
I'm about to say, God.
But they made it seem as if, the weed popped on the drug test.
Yeah.
So they a few times. So they had to let her go.
Yeah, no, they good. So after she did that, Jim Cornette brought her back. Brought her to Mid-South during those early mid-90s time, and then she came back and got a job at WCW, managing
Harlem Heat.
And I remember seeing her, then there as well. And once again, she was Eric Bischoff brought in because she was very talented. But then Eric Bischoff was at the point the drugs was getting so bad to the point it was affecting how she looked on camera.
Yeah, she was. Yeah. She was looking rough in multiple promotions because she was high. Yeah,
so he had to fire her. Now, Electric says, let's make a point.
Is this the one where he was like, "Are you on Lake Havassoma?"
Yes.
I was like, "Ayo, you gotta chill."
Eric Bischoff said that that he had let her go, and Electric says, she could have been on all that stuff because I witnessed it, and you got in the right to let her go, but which has been a lot of problems. If you gonna let her go, you got a lineup of fellas back there.
Yes.
That should have been going twice on Sunday.
Let's keep the same energy.
Yeah.
And I think that's why Alundra made it a point to say that she didn't know what happened between the two of them. Yeah. But you not treating everybody the same, which I understand. I'm not gonna say this is not right. I understand if somebody is not as important to you, then you have no qualms to letting go of them. But also, how many people was back there in that locker room? Like, think about the next episode we about to talk about, and how they was talking about how the drugs was just in free supply back there. I'm sure the same could be said.
Prescribing them to them, yeah.
I'm sure the same could be said for the locker rooms in the other promotions, especially in the late 80s, early 90s. So, yeah, her getting let go, again, it's unfortunate, but, you do it to yourself. Addiction is wild.
And after WCW, like Jake Roberts said, he said, "We're even looking for another job because there's
nowhere else to go.
Nowhere else to go now, so you just do drugs."
As we just saw on the Black Saturday episode, ain't no more territories. Yeah, it's done. It's over.
At that time, she marries this guy named Robert Scroll, who
we ain't hear from him.
No, I ain't much to say because he said he married a celebrity, so I guess he was into life, and then when she was out of WCW, she was just a regular person. She was
a regular person. And they was like, she did not do regular well, which that's bad. That's unfortunate. Yeah. But, I guess it's kind of hard to come down off of being someone famous, and then all of a sudden, you're not famous no more. Like, you don't even have the opportunity. Like, people who are actors, they have a slump, and they just can't get no work. Yeah. You don't have nowhere to look for work at all. You just out here.
Exactly. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And she, her son was like, this scroll fella was trying to put wedge between her and her family. Said did this and they didn't like that. But then he said the last time I see his mom was when she was done to the Hall of Fame in 2006, strong class by the way, and they show highlights of her looking well, or at least
she looked good in the moment.
Yeah, at her Hall of Fame speech and being herself, which is great. And they even showed Jared, who's his son, in the audience. I was like, my God,
he looks so. I really hope that he gets better. But yeah, because we didn't talk about him a whole lot, but he talked about how if he had went back to like his dad and said half the stuff that he saw, they wouldn't have let him go back. So he just didn't say anything.
Yeah.
Because sometimes she would take him out on the road with her, and he got to meet wrestlers and stuff like that. And I think his dad at one point said like she was supposed to have him for like a week, and it would end up being like a couple days, and she would send him back. And you can see he has probably a bit of resentment, but he's trying his best not to be resentful.
I think for the content of the story, he's trying not to say fuck wrestling.
Well, yeah, I mean, but I think that
when
Justin, all right, you good?
He was saying like, you know, he didn't blame her, he didn't hate her. You know, it was some difficult times, but I could completely understand. He's well within his right to feel however he feels toward his mama. If he loves her to pieces, good for him. If he hates her guts, okay. Like, this lady left you when you was 3 months old and flew in and out of your life in irregular intervals. And like they said, they used to cut on wrestling so he could see her on TV. But I'm like, that's unfortunate, because they didn't even tell him right away that she was his mama. They told him when he was a little older that that's who she was, because his stepmom was raising him.
Exactly, yeah. After the Hall of Fame, she said, she talked to her friend Kathy. Talk about how she was in good spirits, and she said that there was something that she think good news coming up, and that she didn't want to jinx it. And Kathy said that it's probably that WWE was going to probably bring her back, get her, pay for surgery, because at this time they take people to rehab, they pay for your surgery and all that kind of stuff like that. And
they got the means to do that at this point.
Exactly, to do that. And Jim Cornette even said that, he said, I know she wanted to go back, but we know WWE was going to be so receptive of that. But Kathy thought it was to go back and help train the women.
Yeah, I mean,
which could have been used at that time.
That could have been a thing, even if it was just to train them how to do proper promos and stuff like that.
Shit, take a proper bump, Kelly.
Oh, God.
Sorry.
Every time you get a chance.
Yeah, I will. But then, her son brings up that June 15th, 2007.
He knew the time. That is.
Yeah. His mom, out there on the porch of her mom, somewhere in Alabama, she some sweet tea.
In a rocking chair, she collapsed.
Yeah, and she just collapsed and died at the age of 49 years old. And it's just like the drugs can catch up and destroy, man. It's sickening. And they said that she didn't deserve to die the way she did.
No.
And
oh my God! Then when they showed that list
of everything that was in her body,
I was like, yo, how were these compounds? Like, how did you... She had like 6 or 7 different drugs in her body.
It was terrible. And they did the funeral, and once again, like we hear about a lot of these wrestling funerals, about not a lot of wrestlers showing up so there. But they did say Jake Roberts was there, but she said Jake was like producer said, out his fucking mind. He was at his low at that time too. Even Jake Roberts go to say, yeah, I was at my lowest. He said, I remember Steve Ray, Booker T there, and I don't remember nothing else. And that's it.
That's wild to me. Like, sir, how high were you? He said he got in his car and drove to Alabama. You got from wherever you were to Alabama, but was that high? That's crazy.
Hey, if I remember the black people in the room, Nothing else.
So what? That was wild. He was just like, I remember seeing Booker T and Stevie Ray, and that's it. What? Why them?
God.
Golly.
It was something that it was just touching. Then his son brought up his stepmom, and they talked very highly of her as a tag team partner, and they had clips of Sherri talk about
my rib recipe. Use.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got this. These damn ads started come on when I got this thing. That's what y'all probably hearing.
Okay.
So I sacrificed much of my life, my family time. I like to know the mistakes I've made. People won't remember me so much for those, but for the good I tried to do. I hope people will look back and maybe learn something from my mistakes.
Yeah. She had a rough go of it. But honestly, here's the thing. I think we gotta be honest about it. A lot of times with these Dark Side episodes, a lot of the stuff that happens is based on these folks' decisions. And no, I agree with her son. She didn't deserve to die the way she did. She should have been able to have access to get that damn back surgery. Because from what everybody was saying, it sounds like that was the biggest problem that she was trying to self-medicate and run from. And how she was in pain all the time. But she didn't have money to afford to have them surgeries. And maybe if she had been able to properly care for herself, wouldn't be in this situation here now. Because she was only, 49?
Yeah. But also what you're saying is, you're saying that a lot of these are by these people's decisions. And yes, to a point of that is true.
To a point. It's not everything.
Yeah, but when, as a professional wrestler, and I mean, if you have a calling, you know what I'm saying, I will say you sometimes you got to go for it. Sometimes callings are just like that. But being a woman at that time, and the stuff that you have to do to just try to make it.
Yeah, she walked so a lot of people could run, but that only reason I say that is because, like a lot of people who are the pioneers of things, you do so much and you put your body, your life, your family on the line. And while it is wonderful to see the women's division today, that lady suffered for like 25 years straight of just between addiction and pain and strained relationships. And that's just unfortunate. It
is. I mean, that's unfortunate. How does like a lot of history? Hell, our leaders and pioneers,
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. I'm not talking about just wrestling.
Yeah, I'm saying.
But the people be laying their life on the line for this stuff, and in the wake of it, it's just like they did so much, but like you left so much behind too.
The ultimate sacrifice.